Hey guys, Stealth here. Today in World of Warships, a replay filled with destroyers and cruisers. It's a bit unusual this match, in the sense that normally you see so many battleships around that seeing this few battleships is really a change of pace. There's 5 destroyers on every end. I am the highest tier destroyer on my team, and I'm going up against another Gearing on the enemy team. We have Fletchers, a Fubuki and a Tashkent. An Otago cruiser, a Hipper cruiser, a Rune, a Baltimore and a Hindenburg, so all the destroyers are very much at risk. Then one German top tier battleship and one North Carolina. Now this guy needs to be kept safe, because the German battleships, although they have hydro, are very accustomed or very difficult to maneuver, in the sense that they have such a long turning radius that they are very difficult to dodge torpedoes with. So we need to find those destroyers and knock them out. And the Gearing is one of the best ships to do that in. I find it to be a little bit better than the Fletcher. It's a little bit less maneuverable, but you do gain one more gun, as well as a little bit higher rate of fire. And of course you get some really nice long-range torpedoes, but they reload a lot slower than you're used to on the Fletcher. So if you don't have the Gearing yet, it's a better ship, but it does handle a little bit different. Now I'm trying to coordinate my smoke with the people who are behind me, which is currently an Otago. I got the Hindenburg and I got the Grosse Kurfürst on my stern. Coordinating with Ash here, trying to deploy smoke so we don't all deploy smoke at the same time. And I know that I'm going to run into someone here. I just don't know who it is yet. Because with 5 destroyers, there's at least 1 destroyer going for each cap. And I'm really happy that the Otago behind me is pushing it as much as it is, because we can definitely use their firepower. You can see the Fletcher here has slowed down to a crawl, almost a full stop. And between the two of us, we're quickly capturing the sea zone. The Otago is there to help out, and here's the first target. A Tashkent comes in, I immediately pop my smoke and start hammering away. Unfortunately I still had AP loaded for my first salvo, but a Tashkent does take a bit of damage from AP. Just look at the rate of fire on this guy. Nothing left of the Tashkent, first kill. And with that we also secured the sea cap in the meanwhile. There's a Benson. I didn't quite expect the Benson here, and I was already moving up. So immediately slowing back down, going for the Benson, and trying to get a torpedo solution on the cruiser behind him, but he's already backing away, so it doesn't really make much sense to go for him now. Keep trying to put fire into the Benson, but at 8 clicks you can see the arcs are already going up quite a bit, making it more and more difficult to hit that destroyer. Especially since this Benson doesn't want to get hit, and that he is maneuvering quite violently to avoid having to take any more rounds. He did manage to take out our Otago, and at this point we are losing 1 destroyer. They have lost, we lost 1 cruiser, they lost 1 destroyer. We have the C cap, the B cap is being contested. You can see we already have 1 destroyer heading that way. There's the Fletcher up ahead, but they are definitely capping it. And unfortunately I don't quite know which destroyer it is. I just know that it is not the Tashkent and not the Benson, so we knocked those 2 out. So that leaves a Gearing, a Fletcher and a Kagero. The Kagero is not really that much of a threat, but the Fletcher, and especially the Gearing, can really take a large chunk of my hit points off, so I gotta be really careful and hope that I don't run into either of those guys. In the meanwhile, we have the battleship. The German battleship off our stern. He's using the smoke deployed by the Fletcher, keeping himself safe and probably hammering away at the Ibuki over there. In the meanwhile, the torpedoes from the Fletcher, this one over here, are making their way towards the smoke screen, since that's where he was expecting another destroyer to be. And the Fletcher behind me has just been able to take out the Benson, which makes the battleship very happy, because he's no longer having to worry about the engagement with the torpedoes. And there's the Gearing up ahead, 10 clicks out, so I'm not too worried. The Gearing can get detected at a range of 5.9 kilometers. Depends a bit on your captain skills, but with maximum concealment you can have 5.9, which for a ship this lethal at short range is very nice. And And that's when I spot the Kagero. I deploy my smoke. Let's put a couple of rounds into the Kagero. He's not moving very quickly and he's taking a lot of damage, of course. I am expecting his torpedoes, and they are indeed coming in, but don't ever maneuver in the same direction for more than a second or two in a destroyer. I mean, virtually in any ship that goes, but for a destroyer even more so. Because while a battleship might be able to eat a torpedo and live to tell the tale, a destroyer is much less so. I send out one torpedo salvo, intentionally keeping one in reserve. I don't want to fire off all the torpedoes in case I have to do a shotgun run on this Kagero. In which case I would like to have another salvo of torpedoes as a short-range solution. I'm looking behind me to see who's with me. There's the Fletcher behind me, but he's not really interested in hunting down the Kagero apparently. So I ask him that if he can request or if he can support me over here at B. Not so much. He's instead heading directly away from me, looking to get a solution on the cruiser that is off to the southeast. Here's Kagero. He barely moved, but he moved just enough that he's now solidly behind the island. And I was really hoping not to get spotted there, because I wanted to sneak up on him on the other side of the island. At the same time, I still know that there is a gearing pretty close, and that gearing can cause all sorts of problems if I'm engaged with the Kagero. So it's going to be one by one, and that's when the Kagero makes a pretty big mistake in trying to come out from behind the island and tries to hunt me down. Not something that a Kagero is going to win. He's losing all sorts of modules. He's being set on fire. Or at least that's the plan. There we go, another incapacitation of a turret. I take a bit of fire from the Fletcher, who did come back to help me. Unfortunately, he knocked out my propulsion, but with last stand I still have it. That's when the gearing shows up. Not a position I want to be in, because the gearing is still full health. We do have another Fletcher here, and the Fletcher currently seems to be absorbing most of the fire. And the gearing cannot see me, you can only see my smoke screen. So continue to pummeling this destroyer. The faster I can get rid of this gearing, the safer I'll be. He's having to work hard to avoid the torpedoes, and those torpedoes are making it more easy for me to avoid his fire. There we go, he's set on fire. Down to 2100 hit points. 400. 80. Kill. That's the gearing down. So we got the Kagero, the gearing, and the Tashkent down, and that's my third kill. I keep hunting down the destroyers. A couple of torpedoes come in from the gearing as a bit of a parting gift, but not really anything that I have to worry about. So we have B, but B is being contested, and no more. So there was a ship in B, and that ship apparently has left, so there might be another destroyer operating nearby. Always look for signs like this. In the meanwhile, we're having a bit of a discussion in chat with, I believe, our tier 10, the Große Kurfürst, who apparently thinks that it's a wise decision to start blaming the team for his own mistakes. And he says, thank you for no help. So I ask him if he even asked for help, because unlike him, I am not a mind reader and I cannot exactly determine what his plan is and where he needs help. But apparently that is exactly what he expects from us. So, doing a bit of a loop here, trying to move up towards the enemy fleet, because the majority of the enemy fleet, save for one cruiser, he's over on the left, everybody is over near the A-cap. So it's time to start hunting these ships down. I still have a full complement of torpedoes, everything's reloaded, I have 2 more smoke screens ready to go if I wait for the countdown, which is another 60 seconds. Now my range on this ship is not that good. I have a main firing range of 11.1, so with that the Hindenburg is not in range, and even if it is, I don't really want to tangle with a Hindenburg at this range. The only way that I can kill it at this range without getting killed myself is to go for the torpedoes, but with him going behind the island, that's not too likely. And that's where Give a Shit in the Tashkent is moving up. He's trying to get some torpedoes in, And then moving away to make sure that he does not take any fire from the battleship. Because he's not only engaging the Hindenburg, he's also engaged with a battleship. It's the Tirpitz behind there. So I'm telling him in chat that I'm going to provide assistance, moving towards that position at best speed. And as you can see, I don't have the speed consumable on this ship. That is because I only want to get the AA fire, to make sure that if there is an enemy aircraft carrier nearby, and I can provide assistance to my team, I can do so, or I can use it as a self-defense weapon, in case dive bombers or torpedo bombers make a run for my ship. Hindenburg coming around the island, dead close. 6 clicks out, which means that I only have about a 100-meter window of detection. There we go, I have been detected. Fired a second salvo of torpedoes. And with his guns aimed in the other direction, and my smoke ready to go, I just decide to sit here for a bit and keep firing at this guy with AP and HE. Trying to get as much damage into him before he takes out the Tashkent, because I really need the Tashkent on this side. There's 1 torpedo hit, and that is the Hindenburg out of commission. So moving up, moving outside of the smoke right now, and there is a ship that is putting up a lot of fire. You can see the volume of fire means that this is probably the Fletcher, because I don't see any other ships that have the capacity to fire at that rate. And indeed it is the Fletcher, who for some reason gave his position away. Now he is going to be closing to my detection range, so I'm going to have to engage him, despite the fact that there's a battleship right behind him. I don't have any torpedoes, so I'm maneuvering to try and put this island between the Montana and myself, so that I can focus on engaging the Fletcher. And this is what's going to save my life. Otherwise, that Montana could really mess me up. Didn't quite kill the destroyer, but at least I bloodied him a bit, without losing, well, pretty much any hit points in that regard. Torpedoes are on 44 seconds countdown. The Montana seems to continue to move towards this side of the island, so all I have to do is wait for my torpedoes to get ready, wait for the destroyer to clear the island, and either take out the destroyer or torpedo the battleship, and continue to defend the caps that we have. Because while we are ahead in caps and points, it's still a 4v4 match. It can still go either way. There's another couple of damaging hits on the Fletcher. He returned fire, and that's the thing that he really shouldn't have done, because by returning fire he gave his position away. Of course, he's also putting up a smoke screen, which is making it a lot more difficult. Continue to rain death. Not quite the good range, because with all the smoke there, it's kind of difficult to get a good angle. But I'm not alone in this fight. I'm taking a bit of fire from the Tirpitz behind me, and I have support from Fletcher over here. Now the Fletcher is making a bit of a mistake here. He's going way too aggressive. I'm warning him that I will be launching torps, and I'm expecting him to launch torps from his end as well. I don't fire yet, because the Fletcher does not seem to be aware of my intentions. And with that, I don't want to risk torpedoing this guy. Almost running into the island there. Montana did take quite a few torpedoes, presumably from the Fletcher, but he now is completely inside the range of the Montana. He just took a monster hit of damage there. With the Fletcher maneuvering away and putting up smoke, this is a pretty safe moment to fire my torpedoes. So torpedoes out on the Montana, and with his smoke I can make sure that I can use the guns without taking fire. Of course, even HE against the battleship, well, it's going to take a while before I actually do any remarkable damage on this guy. He is on fire though, he's burning up nicely, and there we go. The Fletcher got the kill due to flooding. Large smoke screen put up here, and with that we are pretty safe, but we cannot exactly see where the enemy ships are coming from. And they are coming from this end. For some reason this Fletcher is still very aggressive, probably hoping to kill off my Fletcher. But I think that he may have forgotten about my presence here. Which is exactly what I wanted him to do. So I'm closing in. With the island between me and him, I'm not detected. I'm just waiting for this guy to clear the island before swinging the ship pretty much broadside and taking this guy out. Unfortunately, he was able to kill my Fletcher. But that's the last thing he'll do. No more Fletcher. And that's a Kraken. The last thing my Fletcher did was fire off a couple of torpedoes, which might even be able to hit the Rune cruiser that's behind the island. Now, next order of business is either to cap A, kill the Tirpitz, or kill the Rune. And considering I'm so close to the Rune, I want to make sure I have a bit more distance, because I don't want to get detected. I panicked a bit here because I was firing at the... No, actually I started getting detected by the aircraft that was launched by the Rune. Their spotting aircraft was able to detect my ship, so I popped both my smoke and my defensive fire. Unfortunately, the aircraft got away, but I know that the Rune has to be really, really close, and there's the fire from the Rune. So I'm backing up, trying to get a torpedo lock on the guy. But of course now my own smoke is also getting in my way, and the smoke behind me from the Fletcher is making it difficult for the other Rune and the Hindenburg to detect this cruiser. Nevertheless, the guy is still coming out from behind the island, so I'm sending one torpedo spread off, and unfortunately he's too far forward. So, time to use the guns again and take this guy out. But, unfortunately I don't get the chance. I don't get the chance, because this replay is pretty much done. Continue to rain fire into him. Look at that, all the AP coming in. I won't be able to get the kill, but let's have a look at the results. And there's the results. 540,105 credits, almost 8,000 XP, almost 400 free XP. One torpedo hit only, but a lot of hits from the main guns, giving me 84,000 damage done. 5 ships sunk, and of course a lot of those were destroyers, so lower health hit points, or lower hit point ships. The team score puts me on the top of the list at 2,637 base XP, and you can see that some of the other destroyers unfortunately died a bit too soon. The Fubuki down at 944 XP, probably could have done better if he survived longer. Give a shit in the Tashkent, 1044. The Fletcher that was operating with me was, I believe, AIM 1 at almost 1100 XP, and the other Fletcher at 1547 XP. Definitely a good match for him. Detailed report shows you that I spread my damage out quite a bit over all of these ships. Of course, Fletcher, Gearing and Tashkent don't have that many hit points, so I took off a large chunk of their hit points. And with that, that amounts to a decent value of my main battery damage, the damage caused there. And finally, credits and XP, 287,000 credits profit. You can see that I have quite a lot of expenses on this ship. Repair and service is quite expensive. Ammunition, camouflage, consumables, running tier 10, especially if you want to run these ships decked out with all sorts of goodies, is expensive. Especially considering you're paying up to about 280,000 per match. And that is just your cost, so you could go positive, but you're going to have to do quite well in this ship. Anyway, that's the gearing for you. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Let me know what kind of gameplay you would like to see next. I do have quite a few ships. Note that I don't have any battleships, and that I hope actually to be able to show off the Belfast next week, but I'm not sure if it's going to be available just yet. Well, I'll just have to wait and see. For now, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon for more videos.